all these things, and that's who you are. You are an ambassador for Canada and for Toronto, and I want to ask you about that, but I think you're also, somebody that's respected around the world for the fact that you take these things on and learn about them as you go around with your film.
You're absolutely right, because it is a process of learning. When I made Anatomy of Violence or when I made Deepa Boys, these are subjects that really intrigue me, whether it's gang warfare in Canada, which is by immigrants, or whether it's Anatomy of Violence, or whether it's fire or water or Midnight's Children. These are subjects that I'm intrigued by. So that is why because making films is difficult. It's not that easy. But somehow if you're invested in them emotionally and you're invested in the subjects emotionally, then it's so fulfilling, because I learn in the process.
So you're going to accuse me of going back down this system, or you just called me back off, but if you look at Fire, and it dealt with the question, and I'm going to connect these dots, because I think one of the reasons you can be proud to be, we have in our 150th anniversary, for those of us who aren't Canadians, the 100, I know this doesn't sound like much, but it's the 150th anniversary of our country formally coming into being, which is a very short history of India, but we're very proud of it. It's a very significant occasion for the country, and we've nominated 150, the country has 150 people who will serve as global ambassadors during this special year, of which Deepa is one. But I wonder, I'm just trying to connect these dots, because I think they are connected. It's one of the reasons you could feel comfortable doing that, is because you've also felt comfortable that your films have raised these issues, where in Canada we are filling in now behind where there's been a vacuum left on women's reproductive health. We have had a more open, long before other countries did, a more open attitude with respect to sexual orientation and protection of rights of people who are LGBTQ and so on. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering whether those dots are connected, that you can be proud and satisfied to be an ambassador, which you didn't need any more honors. You have bushels full, baskets full. Is there a connection between the two, that you feel this is part of your life's work, is to expose or get going discussion about these issues?
I felt that increasingly, and I think that it started happening with most of my films, but I think with Anatomy of Violence, which was actually made, John, for a purpose of, like I said, to be an educational tool and not to be a theatrical release. The pressure of not having a theatrical release, or the satisfaction, on the other hand, of not having a theatrical release, actually freed me up to do what I really wanted to do, which was take it from country to country, city to city, and have panels and organize panels so we could all talk about the perpetuation of violence against women and what we can do, and how we as a society are responsible to that in the making of a rapist. So that has been very enlightening, and this has been an unusual situation because, like I said, there is no, yes, it has been in festivals all around the world, but that has also just been because it's been a platform to actually launch it. There's been no theatrical release, and there never will be one.
We were talking before we came in, and I was visiting with some of the film production people today. That's part of why we're here, and I make no bones with the fact that I'm going to try and sell Toronto as a place to come and do business, and that I think people feel very at home in Toronto. You were discussing that in your comments about how the talent and the time in front of the camera and so on. Part of the comments I got back to people today was, it's so far away, and as if it was further away. But you've lived in both places. I mean, lived in both places, being back and forth and back and forth. Can you talk about that? Is it really that far away culturally, geographically, or otherwise?
I think it's really not that far away. I mean, anybody who has anything to do with travel agents will know it's 13 hours away. I think more than this, the distance, it's the fact that it's really close emotionally. And that is far more important. You as somebody who wants to make a film there, who's from here, who lands in Toronto, there is a feeling of not being alienated. It's, everybody speaks the same language. There is no, you are dealing with French, or you are shooting in the Austrian Alps, and we have all of that. That's the great thing about that emotionally there's an immediate resonance. And also there are Indian partners, Canadian Indian partners who are available, which is a big thing. I mean, if I want to make a film in India, I really want to find an Indian co-producer who I feel comfortable with. And you know, Bobby was producer on Fire, for example. And it's the same way. If anybody from here wants to go to Toronto or go to Canada and find a co-producer, I mean, here they are. I mean, I have a friend here, Baroness, who's a fantastic producer. She's from Toronto. You know, so there's so many people you can find an immediate connection with. And that's important. Somebody you can trust, somebody who speaks the language, somebody who makes you feel at home.
They taught me in law school never to ask a question to which I didn't know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway because I was talking to a young woman just outside the session. And she's saying it's difficult to get your first film, done, but it's more difficult for a woman than it is for a man. And she's talking, I think here, is it any different in Canada, or is it tough for a woman? Tough for any filmmaker to get your first film done. Is it tougher for a woman, or?
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's it's tough to get films done per se anywhere in the world. I mean, I remember that it was tough for me, and I think that as a woman it's tougher because there's an old boys net club of producers and directors which just was very difficult to breach. It was easier in Canada than it was here, for sure. And I think that, and the reason is because we have very sort of transparent funding bodies that are available to us. Whether it's and facilitators. So you want to go and do something in Toronto, you can go to Zeb Sheikh. We've got a thriving film commission, and I know for a fact that Zeb is really anything. I mean, he's a hardcore feminist. So you have that kind of if you have that kind of support that's available, it becomes a tad easier. But let's face it, it's tough as a woman. It's tough as everybody to make films, but it's much tougher as a woman.
I'm getting towards my last question, but did you have any more clips you wanted?
Oh, I did. See what a good moderator you are.
I'm trying my best.
I'd like to show you something else, which is from Deepa Boys, but the reason I chose this clip, I think the one I want is to show that, for me, Deepa Boys is very interesting because it was a gangster film. And my friend Uma was reminding me that I'd said at the Toronto Film Festival that the reason I wanted to make it was because I wanted to make a kick-ass film. And I thought, yes, women can do everything. And yes, we can, And so, but the reason I wanted to show this clip was it's the first time that I actually worked with special effects, with guns, I've never seen an AK-47 till I made this film, and now I know everything about it. And actually stunts. I've never done stunts before. I mean, all my films have been very poetic, and it was so liberating. But we have really good stunts people, so I thought I'd show you this one. Would you please let me?